The Democratic Senator Bob Menendez tried to spew Republican talking points on the issue of peace negotiations with Iran. This is a committee hearing. Let's listen.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You know, I have to be honest with you. The more I hear from the administration and its quotes, the more it sounds like talking points that come straight out of Tehran. And it feeds to the Iranian narrative of victimization when they are the ones with original sin. An illicit nuclear weapons program going back over the course of 20 years that they are unwilling to come clean on. So I don't know why we feel compelled to make their case when, in fact, do you dispute any of the things I said in my opening statement about actions that they have taken as it relates to the UN monitors, as it relates to fueling that rod, as it relates to those other elements? Do you dispute any of those? Just yes or no?
Mr. Ranking Member, no, I think you're largely correct.
Okay. So then the bottom line is they get to cheat in a series of ways. I'll call it cheat, you won't. But they get to cheat in a series of ways, and we get to worry about their perceptions.
So first he's talking about how Iran is making a nuclear weapon. And, oh my God, be afraid, be afraid. And for the record, the term is nuclear, not nuclear. I don't know why that gets under my skin so much, but it does. Have you read any of the IAEA reports? Every time you hear any politician, Republican or Democrat, talk about how Iran is building a nuclear weapon and be afraid, well, why don't you look at the people whose job it is to see whether or not that's true? Look at the reports from the IAEA, and month after month they come out with the same information. It says they're totally complying with the temporary interim peace deal that the government made with them. 100% complying. Not only that, there's no evidence they even have a nuclear weapons program. Do you understand that? That's a huge piece of information that nobody discusses. There's no evidence they have a nuclear weapons program. None. In fact, the whatever enrichment they do, the IAEA says it's for the power system, the power grid for their country, which they're allowed to do under international law. Now, these guys might fearmonger over that and act like, no, they're actually trying to create an atom bomb, but that's not true. You just made it up. And to say that President Obama is doing Tehran talking points, no, President Obama is being smart on this issue. And to say, oh, he's feeding into the narrative of Iranian victimhood. Yeah, because they are the victims. Sorry, that's the reality. Now understand something. I'm the first one to point out time and time again that the religious nature of the government over there is unacceptable, and I totally disagree with it. And in that respect, they could not be more wrong. I'm crystal clear on that. But on the relations between the U.S. and Iran throughout history, no, we have been the bad guys. We have been the oppressors, they have been the oppressed. Don't take my word for it. Go back and read the history. We overthrew a democratically elected leader in Iran because that leader, Mohammad Mossadegh, said, I'm going to nationalize Iran's oil and I'm not going to give it away to the West anymore. I'm going to use our oil to actually enrich our own people and to create a stable and thriving middle class here. So the U.S. government said we can't have that. In 1953, they did a coup. They overthrew that guy. They put in a puppet dictator to support U.S. interests, particularly oil interests. I'm talking, of course, about the Shah. So this idea that, like, how dare they play the victim? Could you imagine if they did to us what we did to them? How in their face we'd be about how we are the victim? Because if that was the case, we would be the victim. If somebody overthrew our government in 1953 and put in a dictator to steal our natural resources, yeah, you're a victim! Of course you're a victim! And then even mocking the sentiment that some people in Iran have that they want to have a nuclear weapon, to mock that sentiment is honestly stupid. Because the U.S. has 1 trillion nuclear weapons. We're the only nation that's actually fucking used one, and we use it on civilians, mind you. And then we go around telling the world, no, we can't trust you with one because then you might end up using it and might end up killing civilians. Oh, wait, that's what we did? So we have them, we use them, and we're saying, no, you're not responsible enough to have them. Now, look, I don't want Iran to have a nuclear weapon, But at the same time, I'm not stupid enough to make such an illogical point, to say, to make it seem like the U.S., that we aren't gigantic hypocrites in here. I mean, imagine sitting down at the negotiation table with these people. What do you say if you're America? Yeah, we overthrew your government. Yeah, we stole your natural resources. Yeah, then you did a revolution that took your country back. Yeah, we have nuclear weapons and we use them, but you're not allowed to have them. If they really want one, and many people in Iran do, although I don't think that Hassan Rouhani, the leader, does, it would be for self-defense. If there's ever a country that really wanted nukes for self-defense, it would be Iran. Because they probably think the U.S. is going to overthrow their government again, because we did it before, and we're still acting like crazy people around the world with all of our military bases and all the governments we have overthrown. And here we have a situation with President Obama and John Kerry and Hassan Rouhani, where we have honest actors on both sides. Hassan Rouhani was the moderate candidate. Now, it is a question as to how much he is running the country. The Ayatollahs probably run it more. But this is the best situation that you're going to get. It's not going to get any better with the leadership in Iran. So you have to work with what you're given. And he said repeatedly, we don't even want a nuclear weapons program because we're afraid that if we have one, then America will attack us. So we have an opportunity to sit down and truly iron out a peace deal and get rid of all the dumbass sanctions that we have on Iran, which is hurting the population, and allow them to become part of the global marketplace more, and allow them to fight ISIS because they're a Shiite government and ISIS is Sunni, and of course ISIS wants to kill them. So we have a natural allegiance with them in many ways. They can fight ISIS. We can get rid of some sanctions. We can allow them in the world economy more. We can have governments that cooperate with each other, and dare I say at one point down the road be allies. We can do all these things, and we can do essentially a similar thing like we did with Cuba and just to have a peace deal ironed out, and then it would be better for the next generation. But you have idiots like Bob Menendez and a lot of Republicans who stand up and they're like, no, bro, we want peace. We don't want peace. We want violence. We want war either way. I mean, fucking Lindsey Graham came out the other day and said, I don't care what Obama does. We will follow what Netanyahu does. Of course, Israel, they hate Iran, and right-wing Netanyahu from the Likud party in Israel, they wanted to attack Iran for the longest time. So you have politicians in the U.S. saying, we pledge allegiance to the leader of Israel, not to America. Understand something. The aggressor is us. And the Republicans are proving it. Bob Menendez is proving it. Netanyahu is proving it. The West is the aggressor in this sense. You think Iran, with their rinky-dink military budget, could last 3 minutes against the United States, or that they'd want to fight the United States? I mean, they know how much money we spend on military. They see what we did in Iraq, and these dumbasses act like they're such a gigantic threat. No, the threat is us. We are the threat. So the problem is Bob Menendez and Lindsey Graham and John McCain and Benjamin Netanyahu. The problem is not Hassan Rouhani. The problem is not Iran. And we need to iron out this peace deal and make it concrete, because God forbid the next time a Republican administration gets in power in the U.S., I fear that one of the first things they'll want to do is do regime change in Iran. And by the way, what'll happen when you do that, if they try to do that? The same thing that happened in Iraq. They'll realize, fuck, we replaced people that we thought were bad guys with worse guys.